Hi, I'm Tom Duck, one of the osteopaths and bike fitters here at o-health, and sitting with me is Tom Barry, the original bike fitter and original osteopath here at o-health. And today we're going to be sitting down and talking about bike fitting and benefits, how it started and why it's so important. So thank you for sitting down with me today, Tom. Talk us about what got you into bike fitting and why you decided to bring it to Albury.
Yeah, I was effectively an uncomfortable cyclist. One of the joys of being enthusiastic but not particularly good is that you have to think about what you're doing consistently, and being somewhat uncomfortable on the bike, I'd spent a couple of years riding, gotten to a certain level where you're riding with more people, and as an osteo there's constantly a thought in the back of your head about should it hurt like this, should it feel like this, and it shouldn't. And also seeing some of the, I guess, positional challenges that other people were having around us as well. And at the time, being an osteo, we just put on a couple of people who worked with us. And it's one of the challenges in a really small business is that you end up having a lot of patients who want to see you, but that's a little bit self-limiting because you need to now be managing interspersing patients to other therapists and those sorts of things. So it also gave us an opportunity to be doing something external to the treatment room. So it just gave a little bit of diversity to the business as well. There was nothing more strategic in it than that. I'm certainly not clever enough to have thought of such things as a strategic advertising marketing type exercise, but it ended up being extraordinarily good for us as a business, and it really positioned us kind of as the preeminent clinic locally around endurance sports in particular, because obviously there were triathletes who were out there and triathletes run, and then we started working with those, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So we've really enjoyed the bike fitting side of things at o-health, or osteo-health as it was in those days. But yeah, it certainly sprung from the fact that I was uncomfortable. We were seeing injured patients and we couldn't analyse their movements on the bike. So it was fundamentally as simple as that.
Okay, so you said that it sort of came from feeling uncomfortable on the bike. Can you explain to us why being comfortable on the bike is so important?
Yeah, comfort underpins everything on a bike. It doesn't matter how powerful or how aerodynamic your position is on the bike. If you're not comfortable, you can't sustain it anyway, so it's fundamentally pointless. So sustainability of posture is key to almost everything that we do on a bike, and it doesn't matter whether you're an elite triathlete or you're a recreational rider. You need to be able to maintain your position on the bike. Yeah, and we're firmly of the belief that there's two parts to that equation too. There's the actual positional stuff on the bike, which is where most people want their solutions to come from. And then there's the tax you have to pay to ride a bike, which is a lot of the self-management stuff you need to be doing off the bike to ride it comfortably. So, you know, we've spoken of this at length before, but we roughly talk about 10% of your time, of your training time should be spent off the bike self-managing, to both increase your tolerance to that position on the bike, but also to reduce, I guess, reduce the outcomes from spending such an extended period of time in one position. So you tend to stress tissues the same way repeatedly on a bike, and it's a really fixed position even though you're moving. So yeah, we basically want people to address it from both sides of the equation. Positional, which is relatively simple, and then people self-managing, which we give them the tools to do it, but whether they comply or not is always an interesting thing, because none of us ride bikes to spend 45 to 60 minutes a week stretching and strengthening, but we kind of should.
Absolutely. Okay, so when it comes to bike fitting, you had the pleasure of going and taking it places overseas. Can you run us through a couple of your special moments and career highlights from your bike fitting?
Yeah, there's probably, the career highlights certainly aren't overseas. I think making a meaningful contribution to the local cycling community. So one of the big things that we speak about all the time is making Albury healthier. And the way that we make Albury healthier is removing impediments to people doing the things that they love doing. So most of what we do in that space is obviously the vast majority is in the clinic here, both with our strength and conditioning and also the osteophysio side of things. But in terms of cycling, the most rewarding stuff has been not necessarily the elite guys, and we've certainly positioned a few people who've gone on to world championships and won national titles and those sorts of things, which is, of course, that's rewarding, but it's more getting people who have relatively, I'll say, high needs, whether it be post-hip replacement, whether it be post-injury, getting them back to a level where they can ride enough that it's a really meaningful part of their life again. We all ride for the joy of it fundamentally. Like, none of us are good enough to be doing this for any other reason than enjoyment. And the key to enjoyment is being comfortable, number one, but also, I don't know, just being able to do it as much as you would like to. So whether that is 16 hours a week, or whether it's 2 hours a week, or one ride a week, getting people who can't ride at the moment to do more of it and enjoy it while they're doing it, that is profoundly rewarding. The elite guys can already ride, and they can ride a lot, and they can ride fast, and their needs are different. But people whose health depends on getting out on the bike and pedaling, that I find profoundly satisfying. And yeah, and there is such a significant link between mental health and exercise and physical health. And so when we're dealing with people on their bikes, it's not just about setting someone up so they can ride on their bike comfortably. It has a broader implication than that. It does have a meaningful impact on their lives. We all ride bikes for different reasons, but most of us are doing it because it's good for us, and it's good for our head, and it's good for our body. So working with those types of people is really, like, that's the stuff that probably makes me tick. But certainly overseas, we got to work with some pretty extraordinary people in Singapore, which was a lot of fun, and that's a whole new sphere of, I guess, income and equipment that people are riding. Like, it would be unusual to go on a bunch ride and have equipment that was kind of less than $10,000 riding next to you. It's just, it's a different world. And going over to the States was really interesting. So we went and spent time in a wind tunnel there, which really clarified some of our thinking around aerodynamics and what you can and can't do and what you can and can't speculate about. I don't know how much you want me to ramble on that, but certainly aerodynamics is it is an incredibly challenging field. It is incredibly complex. It's a mix of a relatively static structure in space, which is the bike, and then it's compounded by having a body on top of it. So only 14% of the drag comes from the bike, 86% comes from the individual, and so manipulating someone's position is fundamental to them going faster. It's almost irrelevant what bike they're riding. If you can manipulate their body position and you can start to clean them up that way, then that has a really profound effect on speed. And that was something the wind tunnel taught me, was that there's all of these common perceptions about aerodynamics that, going low is fast, and it's just not. And there is a biological cost, physiological cost to doing some of these positional changes. So if this comes to the detriment of your physiology, then you shouldn't be trying to go long and low, for example. So yeah, some of those sorts of things, and just having access to some of the best brains in the world around this kind of stuff. So that's probably been the highlights from that, and being exposed to different ways of thinking and different forms of technology. Like, we've got some pretty extraordinary tech in our bike fitting studio that I don't think people probably understand, but there's a handful of pressure mapping or saddle pressure maps in Australia, and we've had one for 6 or 7 years, and it's allowed us to assess people in a completely different way to what normally happens. But again, we talk about this a lot too, you and I, is that it's not actually the technology you're using, it's the person interpreting the data that matters. And that was something that taught me, that I saw when I went overseas and saw some of the best guys in the world, is that sure, they've got some toys, but fundamentally it's how they understand the body and its interaction with the bike that makes a difference to successful outcomes. And I think the other thing it did too was it reinforced to us kind of how good a job we're doing. So if you see what they're doing and you compare it with what you're doing, and of course you take lessons from it, but if you're kind of doing it to that level as well, then it kind of makes you feel pretty good about the thing that you've created over time too.
Yeah. What would you say your biggest challenge with bike fitting has been in bringing it to Albury and the community, and then going forward as well?
I think the community has embraced it to a large extent. I think the biggest challenge around what we do, I think it's twofold. One is, I think that there's a misconception, and we try very hard to challenge this and educate, but I think there's a misconception that people's position is fixed. So that when we set you up in November last year, that's the position that you should be riding in almost indefinitely. So that's the one true position you have. And that is profoundly untrue, and for lots of reasons. The first of which is people's bodies change, your levels of fitness change. I haven't been on a bike for 6 months, more or less, and so when I get on my road bike, which was perfectly comfortable 18 months ago, it is now not, and that's because I'm deconditioned, I'm heavier, I'm not putting out the same power, so the contact patch on the saddle is different. Like all of those sorts of things feed in to make me a very different person to what I was 18 months ago when I was last riding that position comfortably. And I think that people need to understand that when you change something on your bike, so whether it be the seat, whether it be the bike itself, whether it be shoes, all of those things have an impact on your position. And I'm not so delicate with the way that I bike fit that, I understand that to a certain percentage of the population, millimetres matter, but the body is pretty robust and it can deal with a fair bit of variation. But when you get to a certain point and you've started to change seats and you've started to change shoes, there's a real degradation of your position over time that needs to be addressed. And it might be as simple as coming in for 30 minutes or an hour, having a check-up and going, you know what, Tom, that is still more or less the right spot for you to be in. So that's one of them, that fixed idea around this is my position and this is where it should be forever. That is just not true. People's bodies change. We see that all the time in the clinic. People's bodies get dramatically better, and we're really passionate about how adaptable the human body is and what you can make it do and how you can improve it. So you can definitely get more and more aggressive if you wish to, and you can ride different positions if you wish to. So there's that side of things. And then the other one is, I think I've really failed to educate and articulate adequately to the population that they should be seeing us before they buy a bike. So you will have seen this already in the 6 or 7 months you've been going, is that we have people coming in all the time in compromised positions because of the bike they've already purchased. And I guess if I could get a message out there long term, it is that we would love to see people before they buy a bike, because we can create certainty around what they should be on. So we see so many people on ill-fitting bikes, the wrong type of bike, or they bought the bike that they want but not the one that they need. Have you got anything to comment on about that as well?
No, I totally agree. I think we've got a lot more value to add than just setting you up on the current bike you've got. I think our value really extends to our anatomy and physiology and the advice we can provide going forward with that, but also the type of bike to suit the rider, not trying to fit the rider onto a bike, because that is definitely a challenge, and it's quite sometimes it can be quite uncomfortable to explain to someone that a brand new $15,000 bike is actually the wrong type of bike to be riding, and in fact the one that was half the price is probably twice as beneficial for you to be riding.
Yeah, just the appropriateness of equipment selection, I reckon, and that's something that we would love to be part of that conversation, because it just means that you can never eliminate it, but you can minimise the risk that people have of wasting money on things that aren't appropriate for them. And we see so much of this stuff. There's so many different types of equipment. We see so many different ways of people contacting saddles, so many different forms of geometries on bikes, that it's we're probably pretty well versed in selecting or minimising the risk of someone purchasing poorly. And the classic one we see is that, there's, for whatever reason, the bike industry has marketed, there's race frames and endurance frames. Now, the vast majority of the population should be on an endurance frame, and people have this sense that if they're buying an endurance frame, that they're limiting their performance. And it is profoundly not true, and it comes back to that statement we made earlier about comfort being important on the bike, is that people who aren't comfortable on a bike simply don't spend as much time on it, and they can't maintain their position, so it just ends up limiting their ability to enjoy the sport. And I'm certainly not wedded to expensive equipment either. I actually don't care whether someone buys, so for example, there's varying levels of all models of bikes, so whether they buy a base level Defy or a base level Damani, I actually don't mind, but it's buying the appropriate geometry for them, regardless of the price point. And that's the thing I would love to get across, is we really should be there for the first choice. And people can then choose what they want ultimately one way or the other, but they go in better informed. And we'd love to do that because we do. We have to sit there and have that conversation and go, well, actually, at best, we're going to need to do something really funky here. So we're going to have to go a long stem or a really short stem, or we're going to have to change this. We're going to have to manipulate that to offset the frame choice that they've made poorly. Whereas really, we'd like to go in and say, right, Tom, you should be on a 58 centimetre System 6 Cannondale, or you can be on a 56 centimetre Cervelo R3, or a Tarmac, or whatever the bike might be. We're completely brand agnostic. That's something that also I've been really dedicated about for ever since I started. I never wanted to align myself with one brand or one bike shop. And as much as we rent space from Cycle Station, when we went in there, Jake and I had a very, very blunt conversation about the fact that we were not going to recommend stuff just because he sold it. And we certainly were going to remain an independent entity within his business. And we've enjoyed that move for lots of reasons, but we absolutely work very closely with Bike Culture and with the Full Cycle and with Washoe over in Wodonga as well, and we'll continue to do forevermore. It is simply not worth us ever compromising our integrity to refer something in-house. Like, that's not what we do and it's not who we are. So, but yes, I digress. I would love to get people in before they buy a bike.
Very good.
Or shoes. Or pedal systems.
Or anything.
Yeah.
Yep. Very good.
And the thing I love most about, and particularly when it comes to triathlon too, that's a real, or time trialing, it's such a specific position on the bike. Sizing makes an enormous difference.
Yes. All right. I think that's probably all we've got time for today. But it's been excellent to talk to you about bike fitting. Where do people need to go to get in touch with either yourself or myself to organise a bike fit, or to get some further advice on any bikes they want to purchase or any equipment moving forward?
Yeah, the same way that people make appointments with the business. So 0260 212 777 or online.
Before we were interrupted with our technical difficulty, the question that we were building up to was why are you stepping back from bike fitting?
Yep. You may have noticed the change in scenery behind us, and I'm sure Nick will add something to the back end of this video to explain exactly what happened, but it was reasonably entertaining. The reason why I've engineered myself away from bike fitting is simply o-health has grown to such an extent that it now needs someone to manage it. So therefore, that's what I'm doing in the days a week that I was bike fitting. So I've done 2 to 3 days a week of bike fitting for the last 10 or 12 years. So yeah, it's time for me to kind of look at moving more into the business and trying to make sure that this all goes, well, continues to go as well as it has, because it's a pretty extraordinary facility we've got here and a pretty amazing team of people, which we're very proud of. And I also know that we've had someone who's come along who's ready and willing and very capable to do what I was doing previously. So it's actually been really enjoyable working with you over the last few months, getting you to the point where we are very confident and comfortable with your skill set and knowledge base and all of those sorts of things. And always, if there's ever anything that's particularly challenging or outrageous, as you well know, then we can just get on the phone, or I can come down and help as well. So yeah, we think it's just another extension of the direction we've been going with the business. We're really proactive when wanting to making Albury healthier, and the way that we do that is we remove impediments to people getting out and doing the things that they love doing, and absolutely getting people to set up properly on bikes is a really significant part of that for us. So it is it's a valuable service that we feel that we offer, and will continue to do so going forward. Yeah. Excellent.
All right. Well, that's all we've got time for today.
Yep.
Again, if you need to get in touch with us to arrange bike fit, please do so either info@o-health.com.au, and we really hope that you enjoy the content that we've got coming forward in the newsletter. It's a really good opportunity to get in touch and stay in touch with all the people that have utilised our services over the last 10 years. And if you have any content that you'd like to see or investigated, please get in touch with us at tomduck@o-health.com.au. And yeah, we look forward to hearing your feedback.
Yeah, so we're keen for ideas around content, so certainly we've got a list going forward. It'll be coming out monthly. It'll comprise of one, reasonably meaty article, and then there'll be an interview as well, so it's not going to be too onerous for people to consume. We've loved working in the cycling community, and we think that there's an enormous amount of stories out there in the cycling community that we're wanting to bring to others. So if you think that there's certain people that we should be interviewing, if you think that there's certain content that we should be addressing and certain equipment we should be looking at, or stretches or strengthening, all of these sorts of things, that is definitely what we're up for. So please get in touch with us and let us know. But yeah, we're pretty excited about the next stage and looking forward to continuing to help people stay on bikes and stay happy and comfortable. Yeah. Thanks for today, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Right. And bike fitting, I've done it for a long while and I've absolutely loved it. One of the joys of what we do down there. That was pretty good timing.